2 days after 2 blasts ripped through Beirut, Lebanon is still picking the pieces and sliding dangerously close to the brink. First an economic collapse, then a deadly pandemic, and now these blasts. 3 lakh people have been left homeless in a matter of a few seconds. Lebanon has neither the money nor the bandwidth to build shelter homes for these survivors. The shock of the blasts has turned into anger now. Angry citizens are blaming political leaders, calling them incompetent and corrupt. The outpouring is so strong, the people of Lebanon want a revolution. And they're even ready for foreign intervention. They want a foreign power, a former colonizer, to take charge of their country. It's almost unheard of in the modern world. WION is the only network from India tracking this story from day one and from ground zero. You saw the story break here, the first images on this show. And now what you'll see are the angry citizens of a country who've lost all faith in their government. They trust a foreign government more than their own elected officials. These pictures are from outside the French embassy in Beirut. This is a protest. A protest against the government of Lebanon and not of France. And all of this was happening when French President Emmanuel Macron was in Beirut. This was yesterday. And yes, it is strange. Why were the people of Lebanon protesting against their own government in front of the French embassy? This was an act of defiance. The people of Lebanon want France to intervene in Lebanon's crisis. They want France to back a revolution that would lead to the downfall of Lebanon's political elite. Why France? The French once ruled Lebanon. It was a French colony. I'll explain it in a bit. Let me first finish with what happened yesterday. So the French President Emmanuel Macron visited Beirut. It was mobbed by a crowd. He was mobbed rather by a crowd. They called their own president, the Lebanese president, a terrorist. They demanded the fall of the regime.
Manipulating us. Not a single president took us seriously since the day of the mob. Why do you want to even try to consider just to sit with them? You have to, Mr. President. You have to pressure them to take proper investigation, pressure them to hold those accountable for this entire mess and crisis.
Macron promised that he won't let the aid fall into the hands of the corrupt. Now let's come to the question of why the Lebanese people want help from France. Almost 100 years ago, Lebanon was a French mandate. After the First World War, Lebanon was occupied by the Allied forces. It was placed under the French military administration. In 1923, the League of Nations gave the mandate for Lebanon and Syria to France, meaning these regions, Lebanon and Syria, were administered by France. Lebanon became fully independent only in the year 1946. Now there are thousands who want a return to the past. A petition has been floated to put Lebanon under a French mandate once again for 10 years. The petition got more than 50,000 signatures in just 24 hours. Things couldn't get worse for the government of Lebanon. The French president did what no senior Lebanese politician has done. Macron visited the worst affected areas to see the suffering firsthand. He struck a chord. The anger swelled. The protests became violent. For Lebanon's elected leaders, it's a major crisis of credibility. And the days ahead do not look easy. The big verdict is yet to come, the verdict in the Hariri trial. In 2005, a car bomb attack had killed former Prime Minister Rafiq al-Hariri. The killing ruptured this country. A Sunni leader had been killed. The accused were Shia men, members of the powerful Hezbollah, backed by Iran. For 15 years, a United Nations-backed tribunal has heard this case. The Hezbollah has rejected this trial. The case was heard in the Netherlands. The verdict, expected on the 18th of August, could inflame political and sectarian tensions. It's like Murphy's Law. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong for Lebanon, it seems. The killing of Hariri had upended the politics not just of Lebanon but of the entire West Asian region for years, mainly because the Hezbollah had been blamed for the attack. A Shiite militia, now also a political party, the Hezbollah holds veto power over all cabinet decisions in this country. They run the government. They remain the arch enemies of Lebanon's neighbor Israel. It's quite a cocktail of conflicts. The streets have erupted once again. The citizens of Lebanon have launched yet another protest. Yesterday, many of them took to the streets. They have bigger battles to fight now than the virus from Wuhan. Lebanon is witnessing what you could call an existential crisis.